Today we're going to take a look at how WorkflowMax is utilized in garment manufacture, garment production and promotional production companies. So the first thing we're going to do is raise a new quote for a client. So we'll come to our financial menu and we'll click on new quote. Select our client from the drop down list, and again we could take a look at utilizing a template, so we can set up standard types of jobs or products or garments in here that we could then utilize to quickly create a quote or an estimate for it. However, in this case we'll create one from scratch, and the client is after 120 Collingwood playing jerseys. Bigger description if required, and hit the next button. At this point we'll go through building up the detail of the actual quotation. So we'll come in here and we'll add the cost items to it. I'll click on the new cost button, type the description into our field here to find the item in our product database, and that will bring through our unit cost and our unit price for it. In this case they're after 120 of these, all sized XL. We can put a bigger description against each line item as required for the production team. Also, as part of this particular production item, there's going to be some printing required, and 120 of those. Again, we've got a unit cost, and a unit price per item. So the unit cost is what it costs us to buy it, the unit price is what we sell it out at. I'll hit the save button. So we're starting to build up a little picture of what's going on. We've got our cost items, or our material items, and that's our playing jersey and the print, 120 each. This is the cost item internally for purchasing it. So here's our internal price, here's what we'll be selling it at. And so this is what the client will subsequently see on their invoice. There's the total here that we're going to be billing, less what it's going to cost us to give us a gross profit margin on this particular piece of work. We could also add our labour component into this as well if we wanted to. So this is just our material item in terms of our costs. We can also add our labour component, so we'll click on the tasks and I'll just type in labour, and I've got literally hundreds of tasks in here. You may only have several for your particular operation. Involved in this is going to be 10 hours worth of work, and there's our standard charge out rate. We'll hit the save button. So this is essentially our quotation here for the client. Okay, so we've got our labour, we've got our materials, here's the total price that the client's going to be seeing on their printed PDF. At this point, this quote is saved as a draft automatically, so I don't need to do anything. I could just print the quote, or I can navigate away from this page and come back later if I wanted to, and it can continue to adjust it. If I'm happy with the end result, if I'm happy with this price, this is the price, our final price, we can issue it, and that's going to lock it off. I'll also print it at this point, and we'll produce a PDF of the output. We can include the line item detail on there, or we could take off time and quantity or rates if we didn't want to display those. I'll just hit the print button, and this will fire up the PDF in our browser and showing us our quote number, the date of it, who our client is, the description of the work we're doing, the labour involved, and the material items themselves involved as well. If you're happy with the detail in that, you can hit the email button, and that will send the email off to the client. All of our quotes sit within our quote manager waiting to be accepted or declined. So this is our quote manager here. You'll find that in your financial quote manager, and this is the current tab. So everything that we've issued sits in here, everything that's in draft will be in your draft tab. We can see that we've got a couple of red items here. These have gone past their validate, and we'll need to chase up these clients to see if they're going to go ahead with that piece of work. Here's our quote number 514, the 120 Collingwood playing jerseys. Our client has come back and said yes, happy to go ahead with it. We can click on that quote and we'll accept it. That will take all the information from the quote and now turn it into a job. So it's time for production team to take over. The job number is specified, job 2299, automatically from a sequential number in the database. All of the information from the quote has come through automatically. We just need to schedule it in. So we've got a start date and a finish date, and we can tell who's going to be managing this project and who's going to be working on it within the team. Save that, and now this job is in production, all ready to go. We can print a job brief or print further details around the job. So we can include the notes and client details, any to-do items associated with the tasks, and all of the cost items involved as well. I won't include the quote. And this is a PDF that we can send off to the team so they can see the exact costs or the print materials or the production materials that need to be handled as part of this project. We can customize the layout of this job template, of this job brief template, to get the detail how you would like it and present it a little more cleanly for the production team. The job itself is now going to continue. We can raise purchase orders for the job, so we can come into the financial tab of the job itself. You'll notice there's several tabs across the top here. All of these tabs relate specifically to this job, and so we can store notes and documents, perhaps email conversations or attachments we may want to store against the job. I'm going to come across the financial tab and I will raise a new purchase order for this item. So perhaps we have to order in our playing jerseys. Maybe we don't have those on supply, so we'll go and grab our supplier, hit our next button, and that will bring through the detail from the quote again, so we don't have to re-key anything in. Once you're happy with the detail of the purchase order, once again it's a case of clicking the issue and print button. That will lock it off and it will generate a PDF of the purchase order that we can then send to our supplier. Back on the job, our purchase order will be in a state of issued. We can see that in our financial tab. We've got a new purchase order sitting on the job. It's in a state of issued. Also in a line with our quotes, any invoices we may have raised on the job as well. The job's going to continue through the production cycle. The team is going to manage that through the different phases, so we can set up our own custom states over here. So you could have in production or waiting for material or any sort of state that will allow you or assist you to manage the production process a little more cleanly. Also against the job, I'll just hit the save button there. Also against the job you can store milestones. So these are just key dates in the life of the job. So by the 21st we need to have first draft completed, and we need to complete our first run by Sunday. So we'll have key dates or deliverable items within the life of that job, and we can mark those off as being completed as we go through. Also against the job we can store any timesheet entries. So if this was relevant, we could select the staff member who's working on it, the task that they're working on, and how many hours they've spent on the job. Against the job we've constantly got visibility against how far we're tracking in terms of our labour. So we estimated 10 hours, we've worked 4 hours thus far, showing a little percentage tracker through the life of that job. Now the job's come through to completion. The team has managed it. We're ready to distribute or send these goods out. We'll also want to raise an invoice for the work we've completed. So again, just come to the financial menu and click on New Invoice. At this point we get the option to raise it based on actual or quoted. We're going to select the quoted value, and that will just pull through the details from our quotation as we originally set it up. So we've got our labour, we've got our material or our product items on here. We can adjust these if we need to. So if for whatever reason we need to change the pricing on here, or we may need to add something additional to it, we can just click on the line items if we want to, and maybe we want to mark that price up slightly. As soon as you hit the approve or approve and print button, that will send the invoice from WorkflowMax across into your accounting system or across into Xero. So we'll hit the approve and print button just to produce the PDF of this invoice that we're going to send to our client. I'll hit the print button. This is going to produce the PDF exactly the same as we had for the quotation. I'll fire up Xero and we'll then see our invoice sitting across on the Xero side. So here's our draft invoice across on Xero. We'll click on the draft invoices link. There's our project K Hawke's Bay, invoice number 786, and all of the line item detail is pushed through automatically. You can also specify your individual income accounts back on the WorkflowMax side, so that each line item comes across to the corresponding account in Xero. Back on the job itself, I'll just go and click on it, and we can go to the financial tab of this job that we've been working on. What we can do is raise a financial summary for this, and we can see exactly how well we've tracked. So it'll show us what our estimated costs were. This is what we thought it was going to cost us, what we quoted the client, what our actual costs have been, both in terms of labour and in terms of material items, and what we've invoiced the client. So invoice less actual to give us our profitability in the job. We can also see how well we've tracked in terms of our estimated time. So that is how you can handle a quote, job and invoice in WorkflowMax for the garment supply or promotional product supply industries.